Awesome, awesome. So today we're going to talk about mastering the art of behavioral interviewing, selecting star talent. Let's start off with a quote, one of my favorite quotes. I always say hashtag write this shit down. All business problems are people problems. I would say 80% of your problems you have at your restaurant are people problems. They're not product or process problems. You don't need a new checklist. You need to fix the people problems first. So we're going to talk about that because that's what today's topic is all about: hiring, getting good talent. I'm going to show you a really cool system to actually start interviewing the smart way and not the old-fashioned traditional way, which is going to kill you. Stick around today for a free gift. Don't worry, Luke. I'm not going to make you go crazy this time. I got a really easy one for you this time. Looks like, what did you do last time? Yeah. Yeah. It was horrible. I overestimated the number of people who show up on this thing. All right. So, house rules. Of course, have some fun. Please, learning is always best when accompanied by enjoyment. Number two, ask questions. I love it when people ask questions. You have two ways to ask questions on these webinars. You can either just put it in the chat. Luke can field it. Or we also, if you go in the webinar thing, you'll have a button on there that says Q&A. You can ask the Q&A button. And that way it kind of gets logged in there and we can answer them at the end. I'll save a little bit of room at the end of the call for Q&A. So if you have any question, doesn't matter. If it's about, I'm like an open book. You can ask me anything you want. So ask questions. If there's a little bit of confusion, just speak up. We're here to help you break free from where you are to where you want to be. And remember, hashtag WTSD. I already gave this one away. Hashtag WTSD means write this shit down. These are the gold nuggets. I can't say that. Hashtag WTSD isn't just a cool hashtag. Research actually has shown that if you write things down in your own handwriting, you have a 70% chance of remaining and retaining the information 30 days from now. So keep those pens poised, have a little notebook. A lot of my coaching clients, when we have calls, we have training calls, a lot of times they have a dedicated notebook just for, like, they'll say TRC coaching calls. You should have a restaurant growth webinar booklet and just keep all your notes in one spot. That way you have like a constant place to go and look back over things. Now, I see a lot of new names on here. I see some old names, but I see a lot of new names on here. If we've never met before, I am Donald Burns. I am the restaurant coach. I am a recovering restaurant owner. I've been a consultant for huge billion-dollar food service brands like Cisco, Shamrock Foods, US Foods. I'm also a former chef. I was a executive chef with Wolfgang Puck for a number of years, opened up a lot of restaurants with Wolfgang Puck. I'm the author of quite a few books out there. My most popular ones are the Your Restaurant Sucks trilogy. Your Restaurant Sucks, Your Restaurant Still Sucks, Your Restaurant Culture Sucks. My latest book just came out. It's called Savage Restaurant Success. And if you notice on my little background here, my newest book coming out in June is right there in the bottom. It's called Ingredients. It's going to be a really fun book. But like a lot of people, I started out in the restaurant business at a young age. My father was a chef. I learned from him. I opened my very first restaurant when I was 30 years old, 1995. Small little place. That's actually a picture of my restaurant. Small little 50 seats in Michigan. Love that little thing. I made so many mistakes. I wish I had kept detailed notes of all the mistakes I made. That would be like a whole encyclopedia of what not to do in a restaurant. I always say everything I've ever done in the restaurant business, I've learned two things: what to do or what not to do. And if you approach everything in life like that, I learned, I like that. I want to do that. Oh, don't want to do that. That was bad. All right. So let me ask you a question. You just type in the chat, me, who has problems with hiring better people who don't quit after a few days? Who has problems with people? Yeah, me. Everyone does. You ever notice, like, you go out of your way to hire people and then all of a sudden, like, they sign up, they show up, or you hire them and they don't even show up for the first day. It's like, oh my God. It's like, what happened? What's going on with people? Well, we're going to talk about how to break free from this kind of problem, this challenge, by actually mastering the art of the behavioral interview, selecting star talent. So what is behavioral interviewing? Behavioral interviewing to me is really, really cool. It's kind of like the ultimate lie detector. So if you want to think about becoming a human lie detector, there was a TV show out there a couple years ago with Tim Roth. It was called Lie to Me. And Tim Roth was like this human lie detector. And he really did some advanced stuff with, like, what they call micro expressions, where he could just look at people's micro expressions and tell they're lying. And you can really study a lot of stuff. One of the things I always have my clients study is I have them study body language, because we have a lot of misconceptions about body language. I have them study micro expressions. And a lot of times, some of my advanced coaching programs, we teach techniques called in NLP. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. What does that mean? Neuro is the brain, linguistics is word, programming is behavior. It's how our words and our brain come together to form our behavior or habits. So I'm going to take you through some stuff today. It's going to really cut through a lot of those rehearsed answers, because most people, I hate to tell you this, most people ask same boring questions, right? Tell me about your last job. Hey, Luke, tell me about your last job. Hey, Luke, if I called your manager right now, what would he say about you? Oh, Luke, what was your most challenging thing at your last restaurant? I mean, these are canned answers we ask all the time. And the problem is, when you ask boring questions, you get boring answers and you don't really dig to the heart of the matter, which is going to actually find you the person that you really need to hire, right? And another thing, I'm going to go down this little rabbit hole on there, little sidetrack. Hire for personality, train the skill. So many times we do the opposite. We hire for experience. Like, and I did this too. Oh my God, my first restaurant. This is, again, one of those huge mistakes I made. I need a line cook. All right, where's the applications? All right, line cook. Oh, this guy's got 4 years. All right, awesome. Bring him in. Ask him the boring question. Hey, tell me about your last job. Oh man, that sounds great. Hey, tell me, what would your manager say about you? Oh, that sounds great. You sound like you're a rock star. Oh my God, can you start this week? Hired the guy, gets in the kitchen, total cluster F. Okay, total S show. I mean, just sloppy, angry, edgy, made rude comments to the. I mean, I thought I was right back in like the 1970s, and like sexual harassment. Like, he never heard of the word. It was horrible. Oh my God, it was like the biggest mistake of my life. Hiring for experience. I've learned so much over the years. Because think about this. You hire for experience, and what's the number one thing that you end up usually firing them for? Behavior. What if you flip that around? What if you flip the script? What if you hired for behavior, train the skills, and then now you have a person that you don't have to modify their behavior? Because the biggest thing you're going to try to do, and we've all done it, raise your hand, I've done it too, you all think that you can change people. How about this? Change yourself before you try to change other people. It's so much easier to try to change other people, because we don't want to have to look in the mirror and face our own demons. But if you change yourself first, you're going to find that it's so much easier. And then we want to start focusing in on this behavioral-based interviewing stuff. Now, in the Restaurant Accelerator, which is the program that we offer through Restaurant Growth, we have a 3-step process. It's people, product, process. Of course, you always start with the people part. What we're going to talk about today lies inside a complete module. It's a series of trainings called the Talent Attraction Method. I'm going to take you down, give you like a nice kind of good bite out of some of the stuff in the Talent Attraction Method, and you're going to get some really cool tools today. So have your pens ready and get ready. It all starts off with understanding, who do I really want to hire, right? Checklist with characters, right? If you really, really want to understand, oh, I think I got the wrong slide here. Sorry. Right? If you really want to understand people, understand that there's a process map. And we talk about this in the Accelerator program. We talk about this in all my coaching programs. It is like, if I gave you a combination lock and it said, open a lock up, could you open a lock? No. If I gave you the combination, could you open a combination with the combination? Yes, every time. My job is to teach all my clients the combination restaurant success. And it's always the same process map. It's always people, product, process, right? Here's where most people go sideways. They start with product. And then they realize they need some checklists, some recipe cards, maybe a P&L. And then they finally go back and they hire people and they train them a little bit. Hashtag, write this down. People feeds process, process feeds people. You need both. You need the people part and the process part. What do I mean by that? Every month, someone will call me and say, Donald, I'm frustrated. I say, why are you frustrated? My team doesn't follow the checklist. I'll say, what's wrong with the checklist? And they'll say, nothing. You gave me the checklist. I'll say, all right, look at the 3P framework. Where did you go wrong? The people part. You didn't train them. You didn't have a good culture in place where people understand what your core values are, what your standards are, what your expectations are, or you hired the wrong person. You have the wrong person on the team. People feeds process. Also, process feeds people. Without a good process in place, the people don't know what to do. I get this all the time every month too. It's like someone will call me and say, "Hey, I'm frustrated. Why are you frustrated?" I went home to go walk the dogs. I come back and everyone's standing around. They're on their phones. They're on TikTok, on Snapchat. They're not doing any side work, not doing any deep cleaning. Well, do they have processes in place? They have time process. 11 o'clock to do this, 12 o'clock do this, 1 o'clock do this. No, but they should know what to do. They don't know what to do. You have to tell them what to do. People and process are the key, and they're almost like bookends. When people and process are bookend on your systems, they basically form a protective barrier or almost like a force field around your product. People and process protect your brand. So over the years of working in my restaurant, again, I made so many mistakes. I was very, very fortunate that a businessman sat me down after about 8 months of me struggling, beating my head against the wall, doing the same thing over and over, trying to get new results, and it wasn't working because that was insanity. He sat me down for the talk and he showed me this 3P framework. Now, over the last 28 years, specifically the last 14 years, I've been teaching this 3P framework to, I think I'm almost at 2,900 restaurants now. 2,900 restaurants have used this 3P framework. Now, here's where it gets interesting. And if you take a screenshot of this sucker, this will save you so much time and energy. People, product, process. Think of it like a lock with a lock inside. If I want to open up the people lock, I have to have 3 things in that combination set up before I can open it. I have to have my mindset right. I have to have my culture right. And then I have to hire right. If I have those 3 elements in place, the people lock opens up. After that, the product lock. A lot of people see, "Oh, Donald, marketing. Hey, I need marketing." I go, "Yeah, no, you do." But if you don't have the lock opened up, it's not going to open up the whole floodgate. So you always start off with food costs first. Once you have your food cost dialed in, especially your theoretical versus actual variance, then you can design a profitable menu. Once you have a profitable menu, you're going to jump into marketing. Luke and Michael and their team are going to open up the floodgates for you. You're going to be packed with people, but you're also going to make money. Right? And then that locks open. Once you have that locked open, now we can move into the process system. Right? Process is all about systems, strategy, and profitability. So we're going to dig into this hiring piece today. Specifically, interviewing is a big thing. And what we're going to talk about today is BBI, behavioral-based interviews. That's the frame of the game today. We're going to talk about behavioral-based interviewing. So let's talk about behavioral-based interviewing. Behavioral-based interviewing is so important. And there's a lot of reasons why it's important. I'm going to give you a list of some reasons why you want to start using behavioral-based interviewing. Number 1, it gives you authentic responses over rehearsed responses. Traditional interview questions lead to traditional rehearsed answers. Like, what's the most common ones I hear? Luke, could you tell me your strengths and your weaknesses? Hey, Luke, why do you want to work here? They know these questions are coming. They've practiced these questions. You need to understand that you have to have better questions. You have to have responses that actually go to their true capacity, their intentions. Behavioral-based interviewing focuses on past behavior as an indicator of future performance. Hashtag write that down. Behavioral-based interviewing focuses on past behavior as an indicator of future performance. I have a saying all the time, behavior predicts performance. Now, we use behavioral assessments a lot of times in the coaching program. We use one called the ProScan. But the biggest thing I will tell you is that behavior predicts performance. You can just write that down. Hashtag behavior predicts performance. By asking specific questions about situations and things they did, you can extract how they think, how they process, what are their kind of priorities. So when people ask questions and they're giving you responses, as a coach, there's 2 things I listen to. I listen to the words you say, which are very, very powerful, but I also listen to what you don't say. That's a real gift. That's a real trick that a lot of leaders can pick up. A lot of times it's not so much what they say, it's what they don't say or what they skirt around, what they avoid. That's where the real secrets are. So you want to get a genuine insight into their experience. And also what I'm looking for is problem solving ability. So I'm going to use behavioral based stuff to really dig into problem solving ability. Because right now, your job is chief problem solver in your restaurant. Because every time they have a problem, they come to you. Luke, this happened. Oh, Luke, hey, and here's the thing. If Luke and Michael didn't train their team the way they would come to them with every problem. Most managers are firefighters. And I'm, you know me, I'm really big on words. I write a lot of books. Look at the word manager. Look at the word leader. A manager manages where a leader leads. Managers tend to be firefighters. And here's the thing about a firefighter. They base their value on the number of fires they put out during the day. So let's say Luke has a firefighter manager at his restaurant. All he's going to hear from this guy is, hey, oh, Luke, this happened. But don't worry, man. I took care of it. He's going to just come to him and just talk about himself and how great he is at putting out fires. Hashtag write this down, because this is a big game changer. I didn't realize until I kind of got into behavioral assessments and understanding people. People who are firefighter managers, when they don't have a fire to put out, they start fires. They become arsonists. And when you have an arsonist in your restaurant, you're never going to break free from your restaurant running you, right? So authentic responses over rehearsed answers. I'm going to give you some questions today that you can ask that are actually going to start getting them to answer better questions, all right? So that being said, let's jump into this. Number 2, uncover real competencies. What do I mean by real competencies? Behavioral-based questions are designed to reveal core competencies that are required for the job. Some of these things that you're going to be asking about are some problem-solving skills. You're going to be asking about teamwork. You're going to be asking about adaptability. You're going to be asking about their guest service skills. You're going to ask questions about how they handle stress. And wouldn't it be great to know how someone handles stress before you hire them and then they have a meltdown on your line? Whew, that would have saved me so much drama and heartache. Oh, if I would have learned some of these questions when I was younger. Oh, saved me so much heartache. Right? By probing into past behavior, we can easily assess whether a candidate has demonstrated the past competencies in real life scenarios, rather than just talking about them hypothetically. Right? And you're going to see there's different types of behavioral-based questions. Some people teach behavioral-based questions based on what we call hypothetical situations. Right? A lot of people can problem solve some people, well, not everyone, some people can problem solve pretty fast on their feet, and they can come up with a good answer for a hypothetical situation. But when you ask them to dig into their past about a real life scenario and tell you what happened, that's where the beauty lies in behavioral-based questions. Okay. That's where the magic's at. Also, number 3, it reduces bias and improves objectivity. Traditional interviews are often influenced by your unconscious bias. What does that mean? It means you have a set of belief systems and you have an unconscious bias about stuff. You might favor a candidate who are more articulate. You might favor a candidate who seems to have more charisma, regardless of their actual qualifications. I've done this before too. I needed a server, and girl came in, super high energy, super bubbly, super great personality, easy to talk to. I mean, thinking, oh man, she's going to be a great on the floor. Whew. Again, total train wreck. Total train wreck. Lots of drama. She liked to talk, but she liked to talk a lot. And she would sit there and just, have you ever had a server just drop their whole life on the table? Just spill all the problems and things that are going on in their life. It's horrible. You want to talk about ruining someone's experience? Have your server walk up to the table and just talk about all the bad shit that's going on in their life. I go to a restaurant to escape problems, not to be told someone else's problems. She liked to talk. She was a really great talker, but man, she just didn't know when to turn the filter on. She would just vent and vent and vent. Oh, it was horrible. Yeah. So Behavioral interviewing is going to provide you with a structured, objective approach. It's going to focus on factual experience and outcomes. That's going to reduce the impact of bias. And also, it's going to help you promote a fair evaluation process. So that's the fundamentals of why behavioral-based interviewing is so important. Let's talk about the psychology behind it. I love psychology. I always say that when you become a restaurant coach, you get kind of a PhD in psychology too, because you understand what makes people tick and why they do what the crazy shit they do. So behavioral interviewing is actually rooted in psychological principles, right? And the psychological principle is what I mentioned before. Past behavior is the best predictor of future performance and also future behavior. If someone has done something in the past, they will probably do it again in the future. The odds are like 9 out of 10. Right? So what's the number one theory? Consistency theory. Right. So we dig into psychology of behavioral-based interviewing. Consistency theory is that people tend to act consistently across similar situations. You have a certain set of, we call them heuristics in psychology. In psychology, how it talks about heuristics. Heuristics is you have this kind of mental shortcut to do things. Like when you walk up to a door, you have a programming in your head about, I walk up to the door, I look at the handle, I turn the handle. Now, you've probably seen lots of doors in your life. You've probably seen doors that have handles. You've probably seen doors that have knobs. You've seen doors that have the big emergency bar on there that you push. But your brain has processed enough times that when you walk up to the door, you don't stand there going, what is this thing that's stopping me from leaving the facilities? And there's a round knob here. I don't know what to do with it. Your brain knows what to do because you have consistency. You've already understood how to handle specific situations based on past. That's why you can walk up to a door and you're very confident you can leave because you know how to open the door. Well, here's the thing. In restaurants, people have similar things with past scenarios in their life that they've handled, and how they've handled those things is going to tell me how they're going to handle future things. So this is called consistency theory. Another theory we talk about is called cognitive load theory. Behavioral-based questions increase cognitive load. What does that mean? It makes it difficult for the person to fabricate responses on the spot, right? Because I'm throwing curveballs at them. When I throw you a curveball question that you've never expected before, this helps obtain, I get more truthful and spontaneous answers. And it provides a clear picture about their genuine abilities and characteristics, right? Let me give you a great example of a out-of-the-box question. I'm interviewing someone for a hostess. What is one of the behavioral traits or one of the kind of functions I need of a hostess? Do I need someone who's shy and timid or someone who's outgoing and talkative? Type in the chat. Do I need someone shy? If I'm looking for a hostess for my restaurant, I have a high-end restaurant. Do I want someone who's shy and timid, or I want someone who's a little more outgoing and has a little bit of extroversion? What do I need? Yep. Right. Outgoing and shining. Yeah, perfect. All right. So here's a great, we say, behavioral-based interview question. So I give them a scenario. As I say, hey, you're walking down the streets and you see someone across the street that you thought you went to college with or high school with. What would you do? Now, someone who's outgoing said, well, I'd walk up to him and say, hey, didn't we have weren't you in my 12th grade English class, Luke? Your name's Luke, right? You look like that guy, Luke, I went to class with. Now, someone who's shy is going to be, oh, I just keep walking unless I knew. Right. Cognitive load therapy. Ask them questions that makes them difficult to fabricate a response on the spot. They have to be able to roll with it and be able to do it. Another thing we call it is self-perception theory. When candidates reflect on their past actions and decision, they gain self-awareness. This reflection process is going to help them articulate their values, motives, and attitudes, which is going to offer deeper insights into their suitability for a role. When people start talking about what they did in the past, you're going to see that they're not, some of the stuff they say, they're not going to be too proud of, but they're going to show it on their body. And you're going to be able to read that. If you know how to read body language, say, ooh, there was that's something that happened right there. Okay. Self-perception theory is beautiful because it's going to, they're going to be able to talk about their values. And what am I looking for when I'm doing behavioral-based interview? I'm looking for their values. I'm looking for their motivation. I'm looking for their actions. I'm looking for their attitude. That's what I'm looking for. So let's talk about a few out of the box behavioral interview questions. Okay. If you really want to stand out, you have to ask thought provoking questions. So I'm always saying, like, I'm looking for a trait. And then when I say the trait, that's what I'm looking for the questions. All right. So adaptability and problem solving. Man, I need that, right? I need adaptability. So I would ask them this: hey, tell me about a time when you had to adapt to a significant change of work. How did you handle it and what was the outcome? Remember, I'm asking them for a past thing. I'm asking them for, because their past performance is going to predict their future behavior and future performance. So adaptability and problem solving. So, hey, tell me about a time when you had to adapt to a significant change at work. Right. And then maybe, well, what do you mean? Tell me about a time you had a quick turnover for a menu change. Oh, I hated it, man. Shit, they dumped this menu on us on Wednesday, wanted us to open it on Friday. It was crazy, man. It was stupid. It was like the stupidest thing I ever saw. All right, that's not a good answer, but hey, that's good. That's an honest answer. Describe a situation where you had to solve a problem without clear guidelines. How many times do people in the restaurant business have to solve a problem without clear guidelines? A lot. Hey, what did you steps you take and what was the result? Right. These are good questions. You want to write these ones down. These are awesome. Okay. Guest service excellence. Oh, another huge area that we're looking for. Hey, can you share an experience where you turned an unhappy guest into a satisfied one? What strategies did you use? That's a good question. Hey, describe a time when you went above and beyond for a guest. What motivated you to do so and how did it impact the guest? These are so much better than, tell me about your time that, if a guest came to you and complained about their food, what would you do? Right? No, pull them into the past, because past performance predicts future performance. Right? I'm always digging into the past. I want their past to talk about. Anybody ever been to therapy before? I've been to therapy. I'll tell you. What does a therapist do? Talks about your past, because they want to see how you dealt with it in the past so they can help you fix that pattern and change the pattern so you don't have the same pattern in the future. Anybody here, if you're dating still, ever notice like you tend to date the same as and I hear this from my single friends all the time. Man, I always seem to attract the same person. Yeah. There's a reason your past performance, your past behavior predicts your future behavior and performance. You attract the same person because that's what you're used to. Right? So if you want to change the future, you got to change the past. Right? Describe a time when you went above and beyond for a guest. What motivated you to do so? I want to see, what is their motivation? What am I asking here? Values. What are your values? How did it impact the guest? Team collaboration. Oh, teamwork and collaboration. There's another huge one I'm looking for. Hey, tell me about a time when you had to work closely with a difficult team member. How many people ever had to work with someone difficult? Say me. Yeah. Yeah. Luke might say Donald sometimes is a challenge, but Donald and I can be sometimes a challenge sometimes. Yeah. Right. Teamwork and collaboration. Tell me that time you had to work closely with a difficult team member. How did you manage the relationship and what was the result? That's a powerful question, because everyone's had to work with a difficult team member. And watch out for the generic, oh, I just get along well with everyone. Bullshit. You don't get along with everybody, right? Give me an example of a successful project you worked on as part of a team. What was your role and how did you contribute to the team's success? Now, what I'm looking for here in their answers is team success, not I. So the pronouns they use a lot in their questions. So when you really dig into behavioral based interviews, and I can take this down. I mean, I could teach like probably 10 hours on behavioral based interviewing questions. There's a certain thing called pronouns. Pronouns really, really tell me how people view the world and where their focus is. So like, I'm going to Luke. Luke, give me an example of a successful project you worked on as part of the team. What was your role and how did it contribute to the team's success? And Luke starts off with, well, I did this project where I was in charge of, and I took the lead. And if he's always talking about himself, I know he's not a team player. He's out for his own recognition, his own motivations. He's not going to be focused on the team. He's focused on his own career, his own growth. Now, if Luke says, well, there was this time we had this project and I was nominated to lead it up for the team. And what we decided to do is we worked on this thing about this new marketing plan for this restaurant. And we got together and we sat down. Notice the function, the pronouns there, totally different. Hey, we did this. We got together. We sat down. We did. Now I know where he's focused at, and I know what his values are. He's really, really going to come on the board as a team player and a collaborator. It's not going to be about, well, you know, I was in charge of this. I got the food cost down to this. How many times you guys interviewed a chef and all he talks about is me, 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 me. I got the food cost. I was responsible for this. I got the food cost of this. I did this. That's great, man. Yeah. If I was a chef interviewing, I'd be like, well, what we did is we got together. I got the team together. Maybe I did say I, but I said I got the team together. And then we focused on understanding our theoretical and food cost gap. And then we put together a plan. We went over this 40 Thieves of food costs. We understand what our variance was between theoretical and actual food costs. And we worked out an action plan. And then we basically divided up the task, and everyone on the team took a little section of the task list, and we worked on it cohesively. And then, about a month later, we saw some big improvements. About 2 months later, we saw our actual food costs get down around 2% above theoretical. That's a good answer. Listen for the pronouns. The pronouns will tell you where their focus is. Right? We talk about culture a lot on these calls, on these webinars, and there's different culture types. We talk about this restaurant success pyramid. And the restaurant success pyramid is divided into 4 elements, 4 levels. There's bad restaurants, there's good restaurants, there's great restaurants, and there's outstanding restaurants. Bad restaurants have a toxic culture. Good restaurants have a training culture. Great restaurants have a learning culture. Outstanding restaurants have a leadership culture. There is a focus that goes along with that culture too. Toxic cultures don't care about anybody, right? They don't even care about themselves. And it's really, really sad. These are the people that have a lot of problems, a lot of mental problems, a lot of addictions, a lot of things going on at the toxic level. They don't even feel good about themselves. They have really, really damaged lifestyles, damaged homes, a lot of personal problems, a lot of mental health problems. At the next level up, training level, the team's focus, you hear a lot of me, and they're focused on themselves. Like, this is where I know I have a training culture when, like, the day team, like, they just clean up their section and they go home. They don't restock for the next shift. All right. Or the night shift just basically cleans up, doesn't set up the prep list for the next day. They just like close up their station and don't restock anything for the next day. That's a training culture. It's a me culture. The next level up, when we get to a learning culture, has more of a we kind of vibe. This is where the team's starting to look out for the team. Like, the day staff looks out for the night staff. Night staff looks out for the day staff. There's no more front of house, back of the house bullshit. It's more of like, we work together as a team. And then as you get to the top level, that leadership level, it's more the kind of culture there is brand. What's best for the brand? So when I worked for Wolfgang Puck as a chef there, it was very, very leadership culture, very, very high level culture, very much whatever we need to do was always to protect the brand. When you get to that level, the brand, basically your culture, basically self-police. What I mean by self-police is that they take care, they weed out their own toxic people. They don't allow C players on the team anymore. They push them out the door. They use peer pressure to make them uncomfortable where they leave, which basically helps you where you don't have to manage the culture anymore. The team actually protects the culture at that level. That's what we want to do. So we're talking about teamwork and collaboration. That's what we want to get to. Next up, leadership and innovation. Ooh, leadership and innovation is a powerful, powerful thing. All right, so describe a situation where you took the initiative to improve a process or solve a problem at work. What actions did you take and what was the outcome? Okay. Sorry. Sneezing. Tell me about a time when you had to lead a team. Thank you. Tell me about a time when you had to lead a team under a tight deadline. What did you do? How did you ensure the team stayed motivated and delivered quality results? Right. Remember, when candidates reflect on past actions and decisions, they gain self-awareness. This reflection helps them articulate values, motivations, attitude. Right? Leadership and initiative, another huge area I'm looking at. Remember, behavioral base is about, I'm looking for behavioral traits I'm looking for. Resilience and handling pressure. Ooh, this is a good one. Hey, share an experience where you had to perform under significant stress. Hey, how did you cope with it? What was the outcome? Hey, Luke, describe a time when you had faced a major setback at work. How did you handle it and what did you learn from the experience? Again, always go to the past, ask them what they did, and then ask them what their actions were. It's going to show you a lot about the person. These behavioral-based questions, if you just go back over this deck and just use these questions alone, it will change your interviewing game 100% just by doing that. Stop asking boring questions, please. Okay? Stop asking boring, old, traditional, tell me about your last job. Step-by-step framework. Let's go through this framework. Number one, we talked about this a little bit. Identify the key competencies. You got to understand what are the core competencies you're looking for in each role, right? Do I need someone to have guest service? Do I need teamwork? Do I need problem solving? Do I need adaptability? Do I need leadership? Do I need communication? Clearly define what you want. If you're not clear about what you want in the role, everybody's going to look good. Okay? Be very, very clear about what you want in the role. Identify the key competencies. Do they need to be like, if I have a prep cook, does he need to be great at guest service? Probably not. Problem solving? Probably. Adaptability? Yes. Communication? Yes. Teamwork? Yes. Time management? Yes. Okay. If I need a hostess probably needs pretty much all these. They got to be able to lead a little bit on their own. Right. Identify all the behavioral traits, all the core competencies required for each role. So the best way to do this, like list out the job. So like say prep cook. And I would list all the core competencies as far as behavioral things I need. They need guest service, they need teamwork, they need time management, they need problem solving, right? They need adaptability, they need leadership. And just write the whole list down and then do for the next job. All right, for a line cook, what do I need there? Okay. They need adaptability. They need stress management to be a line cook. They definitely need stress management. Anybody ever like take someone who's a really great prep cook and you're trying to watch your labor dollars, so you don't hire a lot of people and you have that prep cook and the prep cook's really great at prep, and then you decide you're going to throw them on the line for lunch and they go down in flames. Anybody ever do that? Just me? I've done it so many times. You got to understand the traits that are great for a prep cook don't necessarily make a great line cook. And also, the traits that make a great line cook don't necessarily make a great prep cook. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely done that before. Yeah. Right. Someone who's a great line cook, they love pressure. They love adaptability. They love rapid movement. They love change. They love it. And we call them behavioral matrices. They have low pace. They love variety. They love mixing it up. And the problem is that then, and I've seen this happen the opposite way too. It's really, really slow in the afternoon. I take that line cook. I send them back there to do some prep. And I go back and check on them and they're wandering around. Where'd Freddie go? Oh, shit. He's talking to now. You can't give them boring stuff to do. All right. You got to give someone with low pace, a lot of variety. You got to give them short, fast, easy to do stuff that they can move quickly on. Like, I'm not going to take a line cook and like at 2 o'clock when it's slow, I'm going to say, let's say like Luke's like a line cook and he's really great on the line. He loves the pressure. He loves the rush. At 2 o'clock when it's slow, hey, Luke, go back there and portion out that 5-gallon bucket of pasta. Luke would like want to claw his eyes out because it's just like too boring for him. Match up the person with the behavioral traits they have, match them up with the job, match them up with the key competencies. That will save you so much time and question. Next thing you're going to do is you want to start actually developing your behavioral-based questions. I gave you a bunch to start with. And remember, if we want to like craft a kind of a scenario or there's a framework, for behavioral questions, it's called the STAR method. STAR method. That's like the framework for behavioral based questions. And the STAR method is situation, the task, the action, and the result. All right. Tell me about a time when what did you do, and what was that's the STAR method. So you can easily take the ones I gave you, and if you feel comfortable with them, you can expand on them, especially when you start getting your core competencies down. Like, all right, I need some good questions for some line guys. Like, so what would be a good one? Come up with a past situation they had to deal with, something that was stressful or a challenge. All right. What was the situation? What was the task? So take me to a time in your past when you had to task. What was the action or result, action that you did, or what did you do? And what was the outcome? Right? This is super easy. I love frameworks. Everything I teach is a frame. We have a saying, if you want to win the game, just follow the frame. This is a simple frame. It's called the STAR method. All right. Ensure each question requires the candidate to describe specific past experiences, actions taken, and outcome. Next thing you want to do is you want to train your interviewers. Do not let everyone interview, please. All your interviewers have to be trained on behavioral-based interviewing questions. I like to have like certain people on my team that are responsible for doing interviewing. I don't just let anyone randomly interview on my team. I have very, very specific people I like to do my interviews because I want them to be trained, and I also want consistency in the questions that they ask. Right? Understand the purpose of behavioral questions, using that STAR method to assess responses. Avoid leading, right, or hypothetical questions. All right. Training should also cover the importance of active listening, and you want to take detailed notes. On all my coaching calls, I always have a notepad with me, and I'm always taking notes. Remember, I'm listening to the words they say. I'm also listening to what they don't say, what they avoid. And that, for me as a coach, is where the growth is. If I can get you, like, you said this word, what does that mean? Or you said this thing. Or a lot of times I catch them on pronouns when people say, like, well, me or I or we. You can catch them a lot just by listening to what they say. So I'm like writing down me. How many times they say me? How many say I? All right. How many times say we? But I'm listening to what they don't say too. What are they avoiding? Okay. Number 4, you want to create a structured interview process. This is the most game-changing thing you can do. You want to have a standard interview process, which means an interview packet. Right? In an interview packet, you want to ensure all candidates are evaluated on the same criteria. This is where you want to have written down questions that you ask everybody, the same questions. Because why? It's called control group. If I don't ask the same questions and I get different answers, I tend to vary my results, right? That's why you ever heard like they talk about like doing a control group, or like in marketing, Luke will tell you we do what's called A/B testing. We test different things. We don't just throw our money up in one thing and just hope it works. Right? We throw up what we call A/B testing. We try a version A, we try a version B. Interviewing, you want to have one set of interview questions that you always do. Ensure that you're grading people on the same criteria. This is also going to promote fairness and objectivity. An interview guide should be very, very easy to do. Now, in the talent attraction method in the accelerator program, I have a whole set of interview packets for every job you can think of. Like for a GM, for a line cook, for a kitchen manager, for a hostess, for a server, for a bartender. I have interview packets. It makes it so easy for people because there's a certain set of questions for each job that you go through and ask. And also it'll tell you, like, this is the question. You can take notes on here. It tells you what I'm looking for as an answer. So it's going to guide you, which is really, really positive. But you should have some interview guides, an interview packet that you set up for each role or each job description. This will change your life if you have a standard interview packet. I'm telling you, it is a game changer for everybody, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful tool, and it's so easy to implement because then you don't have to think about it. All I do is I grab the interview packet. I'm interviewing a GM. I grab the interview packet for a GM, and I grab this, and I boom, all right? Okay. And this is like a powerful, powerful tool. Number 5, Get in there and conduct interviews. So interviews, remember, you want to create a comfortable environment. I want them to be open and honest. The biggest thing I can tell you about interviewing is watch your body language. You don't want to be like leaning on the table, like staring at them, because they get nervous when you do that. You want to sit back a little bit, be relaxed. Hey, would you like a glass of water? All right. Hey, tell me, hey, hey, what brought you down here? Hey, where are you from? Oh, wow, you grew up in that area? I like to start with a little bit of small talk. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole of small talk. I want to keep it mostly professional. But I start with usually a couple softeners. Now, beautiful thing about those interview packets is it gives you a couple openers to start with. Hey, would you like some water? Hey, how's your day going? All right, it's just some simple stuff. All right. And then use those behavioral based questions to explore their past experiences, because past experience is going to predict future performance. And then after you get all that done, then you're going to basically evaluate. Right? I'm going to evaluate, assess each candidate's response based on their key competencies, their behavioral competencies, not their experience. Right? So I'm looking at their actions they took. I look at the quality of their examples. I'd look at what actions they took, what their outcomes were. I'm looking for patterns in behavior. Right, so if I have someone in an interview question, like interview series, like let's say Luke's interviewing me and he's asking me some questions like, hey, tell me about a difficult time when you had to face a really difficult guest. Well, I just got the manager and I didn't want to deal with it. So I let the manager deal with it. Now tell me about a time when you had to, a challenging time with a bunch of like a menu change coming up. Well, I didn't really study for the menu test and I really just kind of took it and I kind of winged it. And I didn't really pay attention to the class we had. Right now, you can tell right now my behavior, my pattern is, hey, he's not really engaged. He's not really care. He like blows off. He basically plays the blame and shame game. Oh, the manager didn't give me my stuff in time, or I didn't get this in time. Or I was having I was facing this really difficult thing. And remember, I'm looking for patterns. Patterns predict behavior. Behavior predicts performance. And then number 7, well, make sure you're making data-driven decisions. All right, data-driven decisions. You want to rate the feedback and review. And then I like to sit down with everyone on my team and make an overall kind of decision as a group. I like to ask some people on my team, especially my leadership team, especially for a big role or a big kind of play, discuss any red flags or concerns. And then I weigh them against their candidate's strengths. Okay. And then 8. Now, this is a really good option for people. A lot of people don't do this. I highly recommend this. Provide constructive feedback. Now, if you don't select someone, offer a little bit of constructive feedback for them so they can actually interview better somewhere down the road. A lot of people just don't know how to interview well. I used to always, like, anytime someone took the time to come to my restaurant and interview with me, I would give them a call back, whether I hired them or didn't hire them. And if I didn't hire them, I told them exactly why. Now, some people say that's just being mean. I don't think it's being mean. I think it's being really honest and authentic with people. And it's also going to lead to your reputation as being an employer that values transparency and development of people. This is where it's going to pay off in dividends down the road. It doesn't pay off right away. And trust me, you'll get some people that will say, F you. I've had quite a few of those people tell me that. But you know what? I always like just being honest and transparent with people. And of course, it's all about continuous improvement. Regularly review and refine your behavioral interviewing process. Gather feedback from interviewers and candidates to identify areas of improvement. Stay updated on industry best practices. Read about body language. Read about micro expressions. I'm certified as an NLP practitioner. NLP has really helped me. And I use a lot of NLP training with my coaching clients to help them understand people and behavior a little bit better. So it's always fun. Final thoughts. Oop, so I almost jumped ahead. Right. There is a fine line between success and failure in the restaurant industry. And here's the thing, it all comes down to people. Remember we talked about that 3P framework, people, product, process, right? Traditional interviews, they are as useful as a screen door in a submarine. Behavioral interviewing is where the magic happens. It cuts through the fluff. It exposes where candidates have the chops to handle real world pressures or if they're just talking a big game. How many times have you hired someone that did a great interview and then you hire them and about 2 weeks later, you are like, the person who works in your place is not the person who showed that interviewed. It's like a totally different person. It's because you know why? They interviewed very, very well. Most people are very, very good at interviewing, especially extroverts. Right. Right. This approach lets you see who can actually walk the talk, implement a structured behavioral process. It's going to help you and your team build just a talent pool of rock stars who are ready to roll up their sleeves. Remember, and this goes back to mindset, the right talent is out there. You've got to be willing to ask the tough questions to find it. Stop settling for the first warm body that walks through your door. Demand excellence from yourself, from your team, and watch your restaurant crush it. So here's your gift today. I'm going to give you a PDF. Luke will attach it to the members area today. You're going to get my top 50 behavioral-based interview questions. So it's a lot of them. Please don't give people all 50. I always say pick out your dirty dozen, your top 12, and then use those in your interview packet. So you have your standard 12 that you use, and maybe you separate them out like this is a good one for a server, this is a good one for a line cook, this is a good thing, yeah. Right. Matt said, I demand X. I would rather wait to hire the right person than hire the wrong person and pay the price, even if that means I'm working in business for a long time. Yes, this is so true. So true. The right people are the key to working on your business and less in your business. So let me ask you a question before we go. If I dropped you off out in the middle of a forest and I said, hey, Luke, I'm going to drop Luke. I'm a helicopter Luke out in the middle of this forest and say, Luke, I'm just going to drop you off. All right. I'm going to give you a water bottle, Luke. Luke, do you think you can make it back to civilization on your own? No? All right. But Luke, hey, I'm going to ask you this question. What if I gave you a topographical map and I showed you, and I gave you a compass and I showed you how to use the map and the compass? Of course. All right. Well, this is pretty much what coaching is. Coaching is like the map and compass. The map is the process that we teach, and that's how we do it. So now for the last 14 years, my coaching programs, I'm almost up to 2,900. I need to change this number, Luke, to 2,900 because we're almost at 2,900. So coaching provides you with two critical elements for rapid success. So you can actually keep doing what you're doing and getting the results you're wanting, or you could get two critical tools to actually fast track your success. That's accountability and new tools. So this Restaurant Accelerator program is the fast track to getting to where you work in your restaurant to working on your restaurant. It is a proven system. It has worked for the last 14 years. Thousands of restaurants have gone through the program. And that talent attraction method that you saw, these are like all the modules you get. I mean, you get all the modules about how to attract better, recruit better, interview better, onboard better, train better, retain, how to win the recruiting game, the 3 traits of team players. This stuff is going to help you out. And all the stuff you get in the Accelerator program is not just limited to the Accelerator program. You get all kinds of stuff to it. Restaurant Success Series, 10X Profit Series, Level Up, which is my productivity program. Outstanding Mindset is my mindset stuff. Your Restaurant Sucks, the audiobook. All my past videos from my big, huge summit I do every year in Scottsdale. I do a 3-day summit every October. I have 6 speakers come in. We do 18 workshops. You get all the recordings. That's 60 hours of recordings right there. 3 Frames to Thrive is the most powerful thing you can do to get your restaurant on the fast track. Team 1-1 team is about behavioral assessments. We use a pro scan. You're going to learn that Know Why workshop about culture. Again, you get the talent attraction method, food cost boot camp. You're going to get extreme menu makeover, restaurant marketing machine, how to win that organic game. Restaurant Track is all my downloads, over 400 downloads nowadays. Strat Maps about strategic planning. You get the Profit Clinic, how to get that 18-20% profitability. And then, of course, you get a one-on-one call with one of my certified restaurant coaches every other week. You have 3 group calls a week, too. You have a Tuesday Accelerator call with me. You have these Wednesday webinars that we do here on restaurant growth. And also you have access to a Thursday live Q&A call with me personally. So 3 group calls and a one-on-one call with a certified restaurant coach, right? All you got to do, it's over 200 hours of material, 380 plus downloads. All you got to do, soft pitch here, just speak to a restaurant growth team if you want to talk about the program, right? So now we'll open up for any questions you have. I saw we had one in the Q&A, right? What do you guys think about poaching? How do you approach people who have done it in the past? Right? I see some cool people working around me, but I don't believe they're getting paid more than I do. So that question needs to be a little bit bigger. All right. Okay. So we got a couple questions. So poaching. When I opened my first restaurant, I got poached a few times. And if you guys are on the call still, back me up. How many people get pissed off when you get poached? I did. I mean, I got pissed. I mean, pissed off. I actually, this is like my old days when I was a young, hot-headed restaurant owner. I actually called the owner and like chewed him out for poaching one of my team. And then after I calmed down, this is when I started having my business coach, my first business coach. And he sat me down and I was like all really frustrated that day. And he's like, what are you frustrated about? Oh man, well, this guy came in and took my team member. They poached me. He said, who are you mad at? I'm mad at that guy. I'm mad at that, that guy it was called Clara's on the river. I'm mad at the guy at Clara's. His name's Kevin. I'm mad at Kevin for poaching my team. And he goes, why are you mad at Kevin? Kevin saw an opportunity. What do business people do? They take advantage of opportunities. You should be mad at, he said, you should be mad at yourself because you got poached. You didn't build a culture that people would not leave. So the only person you should be mad at, Donald, is yourself. Now, you want to talk about a gut punch? That was a gut punch. That was a gut punch that shit. You know what? This is my fault. You should make your culture so amazing that you become unpoachable. We talk about those different levels of culture, from training to learning to leadership. When you get to that leadership level, you are unpoachable. Right? No one can touch you. I have people in our accelerator program now. They've told me stories where people come and offer their team members $7, $10 to $10 an hour more than what they're getting paid. And the people on their team say no. You want to talk about being unpoachable? Someone comes and offers your team member $10 an hour more and they say no. That's unpoachable. That comes from creating a culture of excellence. Now, here's my thing also on the other side. If someone doesn't take care of their team, I have no problems going by a restaurant and dropping my card off and saying, and here's how I do it. I don't offer them a job exclusively. This is the standard script I say. I'll have my card and say, and I'll usually give them a compliment. This is a standard script I'll say. I say, I saw Luke. Luke's my server at a restaurant. I'll say, Luke, and I'm like, as I'm signing the check, I'm doing the tip, I'll say, Luke, you are a really, really fantastic with people. You are an amazing, amazing server. In fact, it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had. Now, I'm not sure if you're looking for a different experience or another experience or a different opportunity, but I could really use an A talent like you. So I'm complimenting him. I could really use an A talent like you. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of my restaurant. My restaurant's called, it's called Acme, Acme Restaurant. It's right down the street. Have you ever been there before? Oh, no. Hey, you know what, dude, come on down, have lunch, and let's just talk. I'm just open conversation, and if you're really happy here, that's cool. Here's the thing I'll tell you. If Luke's really happy at his restaurant, he will not take my business card. He'd say, no, thank you. I'm really, really like it here. But if he takes my card, that means there's opportunity. He's not happy. He's thinking about it. And that means the owner did not make his culture unpoachable. So I don't have a problem asking people. Now, I'll also say the most powerful place I've ever recruited people are people not in the restaurant game. Because my big thing's always been hire for experience or hire for personality, train for skill. And you think about all the times you're out and about in retail places, like you're at the grocery store, you're at the gym, you're at the phone store. You run into people all day long out and about when you're running errands. These people have the personality and traits that might really excel in the restaurant industry if they got some really good training. And if you have a solid training program, which in the accelerator program, we teach you how to have a solid training program, it is really, really great. I've got some of the best people at like at the mall in retail stores. Like you're at the Gap and you see this person really, remember, I'm looking for personality, I'm looking for traits. I see a person there, very, very meticulous in folding the product, very, very meticulous about it, very, very friendly, outgoing, walks up to people. Hey, am I so-and-so? Hey, is there anything I help you with? Just let me know. If there's anything you want in your size or color, let me know. Very, very friendly, very, very outgoing. I walk up to them, do the same thing. Here's my card. I say, hey, listen, you are amazing with people and you really have an attention to detail. I'm not sure if you're looking for another opportunity, but if you are, I have a restaurant. I could really use an A talent like you on my team. If nothing else, come on down to the restaurant, have lunch, right? And let's talk. Open invitation to come on down. If nothing else, they come down to my restaurant. So here's the beautiful thing about that. Come on down, have lunch at my place, right? If nothing else, they come down to my restaurant. If I know I have really amazing food and service, I'm going to get a new guest who's going to actually talk about my restaurant to someone else. Because that old word of mouth isn't dead yet. Because people go out of their way to talk about places they had a great experience at. So this person I offered a job to or offered an opportunity to comes down, has lunch, maybe decide this isn't for them. They don't like, it's maybe not the right vibe for them. That's cool. Have lunch, send them on the way. They're going to go, I had a really cool lunch. And then about 2 weeks later, you'll see them in the restaurant with their friends or their family having a meal. Works every time. That's the power of active recruiting. We talk about this in the talent attraction method, how to actively recruit. The biggest thing you can do to really build your business is start actively recruiting all the time. And then I've said, what is your advice on dealing with people's egos on the workplace? Well, this goes back to wrong person, wrong spot. When people have ego, this also is a reflection of culture too. When your culture is at that training level, you have a lot of me. And when you have a lot of me, it's a lot about me, my ego. It's all about that. When people transcend to a training culture, then they actually bypass that and they start talking about we. So if you have a lot of me's on your team, you really want to dig into, and I would say in the Restaurant Accelerator, we have one of our modules called the Know Why Workshop. The Know Why Workshop will help you get your core values out of your head, get that mission, core values, vision card, help you set up a code of conduct for how the team treats each other. Also set up a list of non-negotiables or standards, how the team's going to treat the guest. It's going to help you get control again of your business. When you get control of that culture, here's the thing. At first, the team will revolt when you try to change stuff. That's okay. I always have this philosophy that I'm going to make you or break you. I'm going to turn you into the person who's going to become the team player I need him to be and help me grow my brand, or I'm going to break you and you're going to go somewhere else and ruin their restaurant. I call it legal sabotage. If you have some toxic people on your team, allow them to go down the street and damage someone else's restaurant. That's legal sabotage. That's the best thing you can do. Right? Sometimes the best thing you can do for toxic people is just set them free. If they're not thriving in your restaurant, if they're not excelling in your restaurant, do them a favor. Let them go find a restaurant where they might be able to excel at. Because not every restaurant's designed for everybody. Right? And the biggest thing to do is I always say, check yourself first. Make sure your ego's in check before you start, preaching culture to the team. I tell you, working with Michael and Luke at, Restaurant Growth, these two guys are the most humble people in the world. They've done some really big, amazing things with their brand, but I tell you, every time they talk, when I have conversations with them, they don't know I'm writing notes, but they always talk about our team. They always give credit back to the team. They are huge about their team. They always give praise to their team. They always talk about how great the team is doing. They always talk about what they're doing, and they always talk about what they are doing to help their team become better. That's someone I can work with. That's one of the reasons I decided to work with Restaurant Growth, because these guys understand culture. Even though we're in a little bit different spaces, culture's culture. And I say it all the time, all business problems are people problems. They understand that. Okay. Any other questions?
Donald, thank you. This is a great session today. I've got a couple things I want to wrap up with the attendees. I think If you have to run, I know you have a call, I think right now, so feel free to run.
Call in about 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, I want to say thanks for being here today. You can always reach out to me. I'm in the community too. I'm a member in the community. So in the webinar community, if you can always reach out to me, ask me any questions you have. My goal is to help you. That's my goal. Whether you decide to jump in a coaching program with or not, I just want to help you. If you want to get there faster, coaching is the fastest way to get to where you want to go. Okay. But just if you want to, if you just feel like, hey man, we still want to get to know Don a little bit and get to know this stuff, just keep showing up on these webinars. We're gonna keep doing these for we got like 21 of these suckers kind of lined up, so we're gonna keep them going all summer. But thank you, I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Donald. That was a good session today. I'm going to go ahead and quickly share my screen for all of you. So for those of you who don't know, you will be able to find a recording of this webinar in your portal here. So if you log into your portal on the left-hand side, underneath the 3P framework and the TRC method, you'll find all of these recordings here. Like Donald said, we'll be doing this every single week forever, but especially for the next 6 months, you'll be finding these every single week. And then also next week, we're going to be talking about menu psychology. So we'll be talking about menu psychology, how to influence guest choices when it comes to choosing things off of your menu. So same day, same time next week, that's what we're going over. I do have one quick thing, guys, before we jump off the call here. I have a poll for you guys. I have a quick poll. Okay. And I'd love everybody to just participate on this real fast. It'll take 5 seconds. We are going to be launching a group messaging app. So, in your webinar community, you can obviously watch the recordings of these webinars and other trainings. You can connect with other restaurant owners in that portal as well. The interface, I don't think is perfect for like asking questions and stuff. You can post on the wall, but we're going to either be starting like a WhatsApp group or a Slack group or a Discord group, maybe a GroupMe. So my question for you guys is just, what group messaging app do you prefer? Okay. You should see some pop up here in Zoom here that is going to be asking you what messaging app you prefer. So if you guys just want to go ahead and just click whatever one you prefer, we're going to be starting that here pretty soon. So just take 10 seconds, hop in there. Guys, the really cool thing about the group that we're going to be making on the messaging group is it's just someplace that you can go to ask any question. So if you have any question at all that you run into at your restaurant, it doesn't matter if it's a software question you have, if you're running into a problem with vendors or rent or literally anything. It's a place, it's a community where you can go and say, hey, I'm having this issue. Do you guys have any recommendations? And then everybody else can chime in and communicate there. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. It's going to be awesome. I'm in some of those. I use Slack a lot for other groups that I'm in, and that's been a really good thing for me. So just trying to get an understanding of what apps people are using the most. Camilo was asking, where can we download the free behavioral question guide? I will be putting that in the portal here. So in your webinar portal under the 3P framework, under this recording, you'll find that download link there. So it'll all be in your portal there too. Yep. So any questions like this you have, you can ask that in the group messaging app. You can also post it on the wall of the community as well. So appreciate all of you for voting on this poll here. That's super helpful. Guys, that's all we have for today. So definitely appreciate you joining us. Guys, same day and time next week. We'll see you here. We're going to be talking about menu psychology, how to price things. And yeah, thanks for being here, guys. We'll go from there. All righty. Guys, have a good time today. You enjoy this? Good stuff, right? Yav, thank you so much. Nathan, thanks so much. Marcus, Christian, Alex, Ashley. A bunch of people here. See you guys. Have a nice day. All right.